ROTC is here. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 9-0. Next up is the John H. Crowder Service Award. John Kirkpatrick.
For over 3 decades, John H. Crowder dedicated his life to supporting the youth of Union County. In honor of his enduring contributions and lasting impact, the Union County Board of Education presents the John H. Crowder Service Award on a monthly basis to recognize exceptional high school students who are actively contributing to their school and community. Recipients of this award excel academically and possess a well-established track record of community involvement. Tonight, we award the John H. Crowder Service Award for November to a Central Academy of Technology and Arts senior. Melania Batsuk is a member of school's Cybersecurity Academy. She will graduate with 2 cybersecurity certificates from South Piedmont Community College and a certification in programming, Excel Associate and Excel Expert. She is a member of CATA's National Honor Society, National Beta Club, and Mu Kappa Theta Math Honor Society. Melania finds her joy in service. Fluent in Russian, she translates for Russian and Ukrainian families at the Common Heart Organization's morning and evening pantries. The family's face lights up when they hear Melania speaks to them in their own language. For the past 2 summers, Melania led activities in team building, character development, and outdoor adventures at a faith-based summer camp for diverse groups of girls from the United States, Russia, and Ukraine. She loved how this fostered cross-culture, understanding, teamwork, leadership, and personal growth among the campers. Melania also volunteered with Refuge Ranch Ministries, Room at the Inn Homeless Outreach, and Joy Church Outreach. When asked about volunteering, Melania says volunteering illuminates the transformative power of compassion and community support. It is not just about helping others. It is about how these experiences have shaped who I am. I have become a more empathetic, culturally aware, and compassionate individual. It had fostered a deeper connection to my roots and has ignited a desire to further explore and celebrate my heritage. As I head to college, I carry with me the invaluable lessons learned and my unwavering commitment to make a positive impact on the world. Board members and those who are joining us tonight, please join me in congratulating Melania Batsuk as the November 2023 recipient of the John H. Crowder Service Award. Congratulations, man. Keep up the good work. All right.
Sorry, my mic's not on. And by the way, I forgot to say that Reverend Jimmy Benchen is on the phone. So we're all here. So thank you.
Good evening. We are absolutely thrilled to shine a spotlight on two remarkable individuals who have earned the title UCPS Influencers for November 2023. This program honors the enthusiasm, commitment, and outstanding work ethic of UCPS staff members who constantly put in extra effort each day. What makes this recognition special is that it's not decided by a select committee. Instead, it is the result of nominations from our staff, students, families, and community members. These are the people who see firsthand the positive impact these employees have on students and their peers. I am honored to present Jamie Dees, a physical education teacher and coach at Forest Hills High, and Brandy Grant, a school resource officer from Rocky River Elementary. I will now invite the nominators to the podium to read the submission and recognize their honorees' accomplishments. Richard Baker, can you please come up?
Good evening. I'm Richard Baker, a parent of a student at Forest Hills High School. Mr. Dees, oh, you're already up here. Coach Dees inspires us because he sees his purpose in life beyond his title and roles. He takes the impact that he has on students, student athletes, his staff, with his parents to heart each and every day. We stepped out on faith and brought our sons to Forest Hills from charter schools and private school. Their first experience with acclimating to a bigger and new environment in UCPS was with Coach Dees during football workouts. He took time to meet with us and share that character, culture, well-being, and academics is what he is focused on first. Coach Dees has also worked with us to help them acclimate to schools and be motivated outside of school to serve even more. Due to his expectations, our boys have started the year with straight A's. Coach Dees is a leader that sees an opportunity to come alongside people and meet them where they are and help life be better for them. He never seems to want to be in the spotlight, but we are so grateful for the impact that he has had on our family and sons. So can we give a round of applause?
Good evening. I'm Kathy Haney, the principal at Rocky River Elementary. Deputy Grant, come on up. All right. So Deputy Grant, Brandy, is an integral part of our school. Not only does she keep us all safe each day, she builds long-lasting relationships. You could find her reading with students, playing at recess, hanging out in the gym, playing games, in the cafeteria. You build great relationships with our students, and we are grateful for that. While safety is her top priority, you will find her 5 times. Is it 5 times? At least 5 times. She jiggles every door handle and walks the perimeter of our school. We earned 100% safety rating because of her. Thank you. But she also finds equally important the relationships that she builds with our students. And that's what has made her very quickly, in her first year as our SRO, a huge part of the Rocky River family. So thank you, Brandy.
I will now read the UCPS Influencers Proclamation from the Board of Education and Dr. Houlihan. Whereas the Union County Board of Education values the hard work of each employee within the district. Whereas performance is an essential part of district operations. Whereas Jamie Dees and Brandy Grant exemplify performance, dedication, and teamwork essential to the success of the district and its students. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Education for Union County Public Schools, and Dr. Andrew G. Houlihan, Superintendent, hereby proclaim Jamie Dees and Brandy Grant as the UCPS influencers for the month of November 2023. Congratulations on this outstanding honor, and thank you for all that you do to be a positive influence on others each and every day.
Next up is public comments. At every regular meeting of the board, up to 60 minutes has been allotted for public comments. The board will not respond to public comments. However, a member may ask that the chair obtain clarification. Residents, parents, students, and employees of the district will receive priority on the list of speakers. If a speaker is not present when his or her name is called, the opportunity to speak will be considered waived. Only persons signed up may speak. Only persons signed up may speak. Speakers may not give their time to another person or have someone speak on their behalf. Speakers may address the board for a maximum of 3 minutes. The board will not hear in open session complaints about the performance of school personnel issues, or confidential student issues. Should a speaker wish to seek information or share items that may not be shared during public comments, members of the UCPS cabinet staff are able to address your concerns or provide information. Cabinet staff members are seated at the table to my left. Thank you. Okay, first up is Christina Dusenberry.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Christina Dusenberry. I'm here on behalf of the Union County Residents Against 5G Towers at Our Schools Facebook group and petition. Tonight you're going to be hearing from 5 individuals from our coalition who are representing over 700 concerned parents and residents of Union County. First of all, I would like to thank you all for all of your collaboration and partnership on this issue. It just has been really different working with you all than what we hear has happened in other areas. And so I really would like to thank each and every one of you, though specifically the Facilities Committee for rescinding the previously approved proposal to build a 5G tower at Rayview. Also would like to thank Kathy and Sarah and Todd and Gary for going out to the site to see how close that tower was to the school. We really do appreciate that. As you know, we have had a very collaborative group of parents, neighbors, and community members leveraging their expertise and time around this issue, so much so that other areas have been reaching out to us as well. And really, we truly believe that partnership is what has made that difference. And so we thank you for that. Though I am here because we don't feel that the work is completely done, right? And so we do believe, like the group does believe, that there should not be towers on any school campus. And so we do urge you to create a policy that would prevent that from happening. And so you'll hear from some of my friends and partners in this effort tonight, and they'll go into more detail on some of this. But we really do feel that the business practices of the tower companies. One of our members posted something on our group, just that it's kind of a page out of the big tobacco playbook, right? And the fact that they're targeting schools for their property. And so that's really concerning to us with the science behind it. And very often where there's smoke, there's fire. And so we want to make sure that we're taking a page out of history, that so many times things have been suspected to be unsafe, and legislators and municipalities don't take action to prevent people from getting hurt. And I think that we have a really unique, you all have a very unique situation where you could make that determination. And if 20 years from now we find out that towers are safe, there probably won't be any regrets. But if 20 years from now we find out that towers are unsafe and we allow them on the school campuses, that would cause a major regret. And so I just want to thank you for that partnership and really urge you to consider creating a policy for this. And we would like to continue that partnership and continue to share information. And yeah, so thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And I will pass it over to the next person.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alexandra Rosema. Did I say it right? No, she's not here. She's not here. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Mark Marvey. How do you say it?
Close enough.
Close enough. Okay, good.
Marafi. Thank you for having me, and appreciate everything that you all did on the 5G tower. I know the work of the board is hard work, and you guys really made some good decisions on that by retracing your steps and taking another look at it. Particular thanks to the facilities committee. I also wanted to reiterate what Christina said, that this probably is something we'll be faced with for a long time. I've got elementary school children. They're going to be in the schools here for over 10 more years, and I'm sure cell towers are not going away. So I kind of reflected on this situation to think, well, what could we learn from this? And one of the things I learned that was pretty eye-opening around this was the use of the property. I had spoken to a former superintendent and found that this property, the 50 acres Rayview's on, was purchased for about $10 million. Well, half of that property would have been made useless for any other purpose other than for this tower for $1,000 a month. That's not good business for the county. It's certainly, if you're raising that money and we're paying the principal and interest on the bonds that raised that month to pay for that, for $1,000 a month, it is a pretty bad business decision, and the money really doesn't add up. So that was one thing. The other thing, of course, is the safety issues, and others will talk more about this, but I kind of liken it to the seatbelt law back in the 70s and 80s. And, we didn't have to wear seatbelts. Was it a good idea? Probably not. And if you ever got in a wreck and survived it, my guess is you started wearing your seatbelt. And I compare that to the FCC minimum guidelines. There's so much research out there that is pretty apparent that those minimum guidelines are just that. They aren't probably worthy of a school district in a county like Union County that wants to really be a premier county to come live in nationwide. So I think you really need to take a look at that. The other thing I found was the amount of time the school board is involved in a tower strategy for the county and the technology strategy of the county. It seems like a little bit of a mission creep to be looking at these towers as a profit center to put on school campuses. To me, I don't think that's a good idea either. And then finally, I just wanted to mention that the fall zone requirements for Weddington next door are about 1.5 feet for every 100 feet. And although that's important, I think if you adopted setback requirements that are recommended in most of the research out there, the fall zone requirements really would become a moot point because the recommended setbacks are much more. So anyways, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Next up is Laura Chen.
Good evening, Honorable Commissioners. My name is Laura Chen, and I'm a resident of Union County. I have 2 boys in the Mandarin Immersion program here, and I've been a teacher for 15 years, having taught in the United States, Hong Kong, and most recently, Singapore. I'm here today first to thank you for your hard work, especially concerning the cell tower matter. And 2, going forward, ask that the board exercise extreme caution when dealing with companies wanting to build a cell tower on school property. With that, I would like to give a global perspective towards cell towers and education, because the issue of 5G cell towers and safety is a worldwide concern. With all of the red flag studies and lack of long-term knowledge surrounding 5G, many countries are taking safety precautions, especially when it comes to children. For example, Singapore, world-renowned education system, but also, did you know, first in the world to have nationwide 5G coverage. However, if you went to visit Singapore, you'd be hard-pressed to find any obvious cellular tower. This is because the government, like in an increasing number of countries, have placed very strict regulations on how cell towers are built and where they can be located, especially with schools. I hope we will start to lead the way in Charlotte and follow the precautionary method. I have given folders to each one of you. That's me with the colorful folders. And inside, I have put handouts of the worldwide policy towards 5G and cell towers, and also a booklet of research that I've personally condensed, highlighted, underlined, and I really hope you will take a look at it. After all of the things that I've read and that I've researched, I personally, as a teacher, would not choose to work at a school with a cell tower. And I know that I'm not alone. You can Google it. There's a lot of stories. In fact, just this week in Canada, 18 teachers walked out and refused to work in Toronto over possible radiation from the cell phone tower. So since our goal at UCPS is to provide high quality instruction, what good is that high quality instruction if the students have nausea or headaches coming from the electromagnetic waves? If our goal is to create a safe learning environment, does putting cell towers on school property meet this goal? What can we do to ensure that our students are protected? And what can we do to help you, the school board, come up with this answer? Since the FCC hasn't updated their protection since 1996, long before 5G, it is up to us as educators, as board members, and as parents to protect students from harm. Thank you.
Next up is Kevin Gazier. How do you say it? Not here? No. Next up is Stephen Suggs.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Suggs, a Union County resident, also a former telecommunications manager and executive. I'm be sharing information this evening from the FCC 2024 budget in brief. The FCC regulates commercial use of wireless telecommunications. Unfortunately, history has proven that federal regulation has not always prevailed as a champion of Americans' health. If you are relying on the FCC to protect your health, you may want to reconsider. The FCC's mission, right out of the book, and direction is set by executive and legislative branches of our government. The FCC Commission follows government legislation. FCC directives for their current year are to earn money through auctions, allow universal bandwidth through internet lines and wireless communications nationwide. The FCC also funds government monetary commitments. An example is the Middle Class Tax Relief and Jobs Creation Act, all the way back to 2012. The FCC programs are still funding that program monetarily. FCC shows revenue for radio frequencies sold through auction, primarily to cell carriers, of $104 billion in just the past 2 years. Since the auctions began, the total earnings have been $233 billion that the FCC has collected that gets paid to the U.S. Treasury. Given these huge revenues, it appears the FCC is beholden to the companies that have paid the U.S. Treasuries $233 billion. And in return, the FCC is allowed to put cell phone companies in charge of their own regulations to deploy new technologies in the U.S. without adequate testing nor mandated standards to guarantee our protections. A couple examples of past industries that influenced government regulations that we all know of, and many of you will have families that were impacted by these, were items like 100 years of lead-based paint and leaded gasoline used nationwide that was uncontrolled and not regulated for over 75 years before the government acknowledged it and actually stopped it. 100 years of asbestos used in construction materials. For the whole 100 years, everybody knew it was dangerous, but nobody stopped it for 100 years. Many of you may know people that have mesothelioma. More recently, the PFAS, Teflon challenges. You know, in the 50s and 60s, they knew that this was harmful to animals in animal testing, yet now, fast forward to 2024, and it's suspected that every one of us is poisoned by PFAS. 24 years ago, in 1999, the US Department of Health and Human Services proved that cell phone radiation caused cancer and tumors and DNA damage in test animals. Yet the FCC is doing nothing about it with their regulations. You can at your schools. Thank you.
Lana Sturdivant.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lana Sturdivant. I'm an attorney in New York and Pennsylvania, not North Carolina. So I'm really here as a parent of two amazing children in the Union County School District. It has been quite a whirlwind in the last few weeks, ever since the cell tower proposal popped. And it has really been incredible to see how far we've all come. Parents and neighbors mobilized, voiced opposition, joined groups, pledged funds, sought counsel, and folks were ready to fight. And then you guys listened. You met with us, you read the research, you came to our school, and you ended up rescinding the proposal and took it off of the vote today. And I think this all happened because we all share one common goal, and that is to do what's right for all of our children. I mean, that's why we're all here today. So, we can see how the proposal would have started as a solution to evolving technological demands. I certainly had no idea what the potential implications of that could be. After all, if it meets our governmental requirements, how could it be bad? Well, we've all learned differently in the last few weeks. We've all learned differently tonight. And, the question becomes, where do we all go from here? Our community is going to continue to need cell phone towers. We are going to have companies like Vogue knocking on our doors, and we're going to face this issue again and again. So we're going to ask about the companies that our community is working with. Ideally, we'd love to work with companies who have the same ideals that we do. Our initial research on Vogue didn't come up with much. We were a little bit worried when we saw that they had towers on a whole lot of schools in Union County on their website. And thank you for getting that reversed and getting them to take that down. So if we do see them again before us, we're going to have questions. We'll ask that our community leaders engage in proactive, protective planning and choosing locations for cell phone towers. We're going to ask a policy that creates a minimum distance that is well exceeding whatever the FCC or any of them are requiring. And we're going to ask that any of these companies be held accountable even after construction, because we'll need them to monitor radiation levels and make sure that safety is met and that you guys retain the ability to shut them down if they don't meet their obligations. But based on everything we've seen in the recent weeks, we have faith that we can continue this discussion together. And we believe you want to keep our children safe. And for that, we are truly, truly thankful. Thank you, everyone.
Crystal Smith.
Hi, my name is Crystal Smith. I'm a parent of two UCPS students. I have an 8th grader at Sun Valley Middle School and a 5th grader at Shiloh Valley Elementary. I'm here tonight representing 31 other parents from Sun Valley Middle School. We're seeking a policy in regards to specific incidents where our children were asked to provide written statements for school investigations, where it felt more like our children were guilty until proven innocent. And on top of that, as parents, we weren't ever informed that our children were involved in any type of investigation until they came home and told us about it. One instance, I've had two instances myself that I can share tonight. One for my 8th grader where we were attending a football game the weekend of Labor Day for the high school, supporting our community. He was in an area where a fight broke out among students that were, just off to the side. The next thing we knew, Sunday night, we got an email from the booster club that he'd been kicked off the football team because he was involved in this fight. We had no idea there was an investigation going on. And you can imagine how we spent our Labor Day weekend consoling our 8th grader who had no idea what they were even talking about. What had happened was he was in the frame of the camera of some kid who took a video of the fight. He wasn't even involved in it. But it took us 3 days to go to the school and finally get him put back on the team and get him cleared. The other instance was a fight that broke out among parents on October 14th after an 8th grade middle school game between Sun Valley Middle School and Piedmont Middle School. The fight involved adults. And what happened was our students were called into the media center, our football team, to write written statements regarding what happened at the fight. They were not involved. They were told that their playoff game that weekend might be in jeopardy if they didn't provide these written statements. They were told not to tell anyone. And when they came home, they told us. My husband, as one of the coaches of the 8th grade team, found out from most of the team who came that night to practice and said, "Is our game canceled? What's going on?" We had no idea what was happening. As parents, as coaches, we had not been informed that any type of investigation was going on. Meanwhile, our children, our minors, were asked to provide written statements regarding what had happened. We don't know if those were for a UCPS internal investigation or if those were provided to law enforcement. We had no idea what was going on. So here I'm seeking a policy that will provide protection to our students from having to provide these types of written statements without our knowledge as parents. Thank you.
Next up is Rodney Oakley.
Board, family, friends, how y'all doing today? My name is Rodney Oakley. I'm actually one of the coaches for the 8th grade team. I moved here in 2020, right at the end of in the middle of the pandemic, beginning of the pandemic, from Philadelphia area. Lived 30 miles outside of Philly, which looks just like this, called Quakertown. We picked this school system and this area because of diversity, especially Sun Valley. I like the diversity of that school. That was the most diverse school my children have been in, okay? Meaning every other school they've been in, they were the only blacks in their school, okay? Because we moved outside the city, didn't want the riffraff. Anybody hear about Philadelphia, it's very dangerous. I grew up there, I made it out. I've moved down here, I've become the commissioner, when assistant commissioner for football for the Booster Club. One of the reasons is when I went to the meeting, there was nobody that looked like me, okay? Just like we sit in this board here, and there's one person that looks like me. But this is a community, and this is a county that is very diverse, okay? The incident she's talking about, it just brought back bad memories and left bad taste in my mouth. It felt like they were putting our children in the system, okay? I'm not sure if this is the same way it would have been handled at Weddington, Marvin Ridge, Piedmont, because of the diversity. One person, not one of you county sheriffs, but people I've known growing up as police officers and police people of authority have told me that some of their training is if there's 30% or more minorities in that system, we're going to police that system rather than serve and protect. Okay, since I've been down here, I've been pulled over and put in handcuffs because I was parked on the side of the road, looking at my a map, trying to figure out how to get home and try to get something to eat. I didn't know everything closed down here at 9 o'clock. Try to get something to eat after leaving work. I worked for Atrium, and at the time, okay, and I didn't get pulled over. I was sitting there. He pulls up. I tell him I have a firearm. I have my license to carry. I out the car in handcuffs. After the sergeant comes, it's fine. I talked to somebody else. I think Officer Kavanaugh is one of my best friends. I love that guy. He's one of the greatest sheriffs I've met. But anyway, the policy is something that needs to be across the board for all these children to feel like they're safer in school. Okay, I've talked to the principal. She understood her wrongdoing in it. She apologized to the kids. Her apology made those boys feel way better than they felt worse. that day they were done to do that. She apologized and they felt great. They announced it. They talked about how nice she was and the announcement in school and the gratitude they gave for them being student athletes. It made them feel good. But all of our children need to be treated as children when they're in the school. Our high school kids can be taught their rights, so they'll know, okay, if my parents aren't around, I don't have anything to say until I turn 18. I need my parents. But these are little kids. These are 13 years and under. Okay, I have 2 about to go to high school, 1 about to graduate. But unfortunately, I have to teach my kids to tell them I'm not talking without my parents. I worry about that in the world, but at school, they should already be protected. We give them to you for 8, 10, 12, 20 hours a day. They need to feel like they're being educated and they're protected. Thank you for your time.
Next up is Jen Sanders.
Good evening, board. I see that the survey was sent out for the parents' rights policy, which looks a lot like it's going to be on the consent agenda tonight. It was a mixed bag. Many responses were the following: let me parent my kid. I trust the teachers to teach my kids. I think UPS is doing a great job before this. I agree with the policy. I don't agree with the policy. My response is pretty simple. Send permission slips. For health classes, for movies, for taking a book out of the library. Let me decide what's right for my kids so that other kids can enjoy what they want. Now, why allow a small group of angry parents to ruin it for everyone else? So public schools are the new target nationally, and the NCGA are actively trying to defund our public schools. Did you know that in 22-23, 70% of our voucher schools were religious schools? 89% of the voucher dollars went to religious Christian schools. Did you know that when the voucher system was first introduced, at 51% of the recipients were Black and brown students, and 27% were white? Now that has drastically changed. We are now less than 20% Black and brown students, and a whopping 61% white. And when we wonder why there's inequality in our educational system towards our brothers and sisters. School choice is not a bad thing. That's what I've been told. Well, some people want that option, and I agree, you can have that. But stealing our public funded tax dollars for it is not okay. I love public schools, and UCPS has done some great things and not some great things. So please, let's keep our tax dollars in public schooling. Let me educate yourself. If you want to educate yourself on the voucher program, you can reach out to Public School Strong. I will wrap up by saying that our teachers deserve our respect. Our teachers deserve to be given the space for teaching, for they went to school for that. They're the first line of defense for our kids. We ask them to sacrifice their lives in times of the most unthinkable could happen. The least we could do is show them how much we appreciate them. I think the teacher supplement schedule is grossly underfunded, and if we want our teachers to stay, we have to pay them. On a last note, I'd like to thank all the veterans for their service and sacrifice for this great country. Remember that we're able to stand here and speak our truth because men and women fought for those rights. Education is our first line of defense. Thank you.
Well, Prado.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the proposed bathroom policy, which would exclude biological males from entering female-only spaces in our Union County public schools. Last year at Randolph Union High School in Randolph, Vermont, a group of 14-year-old girls were banned from their own locker room because they objected to having to change in front of a male student. The incident began when the students were getting changed after a volleyball game. One girl stated that she was getting dressed when a trans-identifying biological male student tried to enter the locker room. The girl was only wearing her underwear, so she kindly asked the boy not to enter. The trans student told her it was fine, entered the locker room, stood in a corner, and watched intently as the girls struggled to finish dressing as quickly as possible. Several students reported that the boys stared at their breast as they were dressing and later made inappropriate sexual comments about their bodies. When asked about the incident, the female student stated, quote, "He was born a boy. I don't care if he's on my team. He can join any team. I don't care. But when I'm undressing and there's a male in the girls' locker room or in the bathroom with me, I feel very uncomfortable," end quote. When the students brought this issue to school officials, they were told that they must comply with state laws which allow students to use whichever bathroom or locker room corresponds with the gender they identify with. When parents demanded the school conduct an investigation into the incident, The school banned the female volleyball players from using their own locker room and insisted they come to school already dressed for the game or find another space in the school to change their clothes. Furthermore, the first student to bring up this incident is now facing punishment from the school. Her parents are reporting that school officials are investigating her for harassing someone based on their gender and have accused her of hazing, harassment, and bullying because she asked a biologically male student to leave the locker room while she was changing. A third student who was also present in the locker room stated, quote, "They care more about that one single student than the rest of the girls. So they're telling us all to go get changed in a single stall instead of the locker room, and the trans person can have the locker room all to himself while we go into different places," end quote. Time and again, we have seen schools place the rights of a small handful of gender-confused males above the rights of every other girl that attends that same school. Whether these trans-identifying individuals want to force their way into a girl's restroom or locker room because it makes them feel more like a girl, even though they will never be girls, or if these trans-identifying individuals have predatory inclinations and are taking advantage of being allowed into female-only spaces in order to ogle, harass, and rape underage girls, the rights of these few individuals should not be prioritized over the rights of our daughters who simply want a private space to change their clothes and use the bathroom. I'm imploring you, the Union County Board of Education, to create a bathroom policy that will exclude biological males from entering our daughters' public school restrooms and locker rooms. All we are asking is that our daughters are allowed their most basic rights to privacy and safety in the areas where they're in their most vulnerable and exposed state. Thank you.
Reagan Shaw.
Gavin versus Grimm. That's all I would really say about that. We keep going on and on about this. A lot of those stories, you can debunk them very easily. I haven't really prepared much today. Been very busy with things that are going on education-wise statewide. I think people really need to start paying attention to what's going on to public school funding, particularly in this state. A lot of people are just not aware of how much money is being put from the state budget into private schools. And it's incredible when you think about it, when you hear the stories of Union County teachers and educators, whether it's teaching assistants or bus drivers, all sorts of people who are really suffering because of the shortage of funding in our public schools. And it breaks my heart to see some of the most talented, incredible teachers that we have having to manage multiple classrooms because there's no sub. And sometimes this goes on for a long time. And during the school year, we've had virtual teachers because we couldn't get a teacher in. And we have all this celebration of things that go on one side of the county, but there are schools that really need help and really need funding. And there have been a lot of school boards across the state that have spoken out about what's going on with public education funding in North Carolina in the state legislature, because it is an absolute crime. And we've heard nothing from you guys. And you really, if you care about our teachers and you care about our schools, you really need to use your voice and talk about what's happening, because it's ridiculous. And I think that the only way that people are getting away with it is because no one knows about it yet. But the word is getting out. I think people are waking up more and more to what's going on because the facts are undeniable. The amount of money that is owed to our public schools that is not being paid, and the amount that is being put in private schools, it's outrageous. And it used to be that there were income requirements, and now a lot of that's gone out the window. So I just want to raise that issue. I'm going to keep raising that issue. Jen's going to keep raising it. We've got our Public School Strong team here. We're trying to let people know what's going on. And if you care about our teachers and the students who they teach, it's really time to get noisy and get down here and start demanding more from our state legislature and from you guys, because teachers deserve more. They do so much for our kids, and we do not pay them enough. We're at the bottom of the barrel in the U.S. for how much we pay teachers, and there are certain people that are responsible for that, and we need to start holding them accountable, and that starts here at the local level as well.
Next up is I need a motion for open session meetings minutes from October 3 and October 18.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next up is the consent. I need a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next up is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is November, which means the holidays are soon, or just a few weeks away. That means it is holiday card contest time in UCPS. This is a very special time when we celebrate our student artists. We held our online voting last week, and the top 10 cards received more than 5,800 votes. Over the next week, we will highlight our top 10 finalists on social media, and the winner will be announced at a special breakfast celebration on November 17th. Next, it is playoff season as well, and UCPS has several teams representing in multiple sports. I want to give a big shout out to our coaches and student athletes who not only made it to the playoffs, but who have advanced pretty far. Congratulations to the Marvin Ridge men's cross country team for winning the 4A state title. Congratulations to the Weddington men's soccer team who has advanced to the regional Final Four. That game is tomorrow. And lastly, we have 5 football teams headed to the second round of the playoffs this Friday: Weddington, Monroe, Porter Ridge, Forest Hills, and Sun Valley. I want to wish all of our players and coaches much continued success. And as I like to say, go get those rings. This Friday, the nation will observe Veterans Day. I do want to salute all of our Board of Education members and staff who have served our country. Thank you for your service, for all that you've done, for the sacrifices you have made for our nation. And as a reminder, as a state holiday, all schools and offices will be closed this Friday. And my final comment is to say we are inching closer and closer to Thanksgiving. I want to say on behalf of my family, and our team, how very thankful we are to be the superintendent of UCPS, to have our children enrolled in this school system. Thank you to our educators, to our school leaders, to this board, to our families, and most importantly, to our kids for all that you do to make UCPS so special. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving break, spending time with family and friends, and our break will begin on November 22nd. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next up is the 2024-25 UCPS calendar. Matt.
I move that we approve the calendar for the 2024-25 school year.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
And parents and staff will get a survey for the calendar for the 25-26 school year that will run starting tomorrow until November 22nd.
Next up is policies and administrative guidelines for review. No, wait. No, the additional policies for approval.
Yes, there's 2 policies that were pulled from the initial consent agenda: policy 415, surveys of students, and policy 5-07, health education program. These went to the policy committee, and the policy committee moved to put these on the agenda for approval. I don't know if anybody has anything that I need to add.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. There's 2 administrative guidelines. One is to policy 5-01, use of instructional videos or use of instructional video for instructional purposes. And the other is 5-02, copyright, and then the policy 5-02, copyright. If anybody has any questions, I'm glad to try and answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is board comments.
I'm actually the one who requested the two policies to be taken off of consent because I don't agree with them. Reason being is policy 4-15. I understand that we have the new General Assembly sent out or put out the new Parents' Bill of Rights, which I agree with. However, it's written in part of policy 4-15. There's a portion in there where well-being questionnaires and health screening forms. It states that before any student well-being questionnaire or health screening form is administered to students in kindergarten through third grade only. I don't agree with that. I feel that it should be through the entire, all across the board until they're 18. They still, as long as they are under 18, under their parents, and unless they're emancipated, they should be sent through to their parents for approval first. Same thing goes with policy 5-7. Same situation. This was put out by the Parents' Bill of Rights, and I don't agree with it. I understand it's the General Assembly, but I don't agree. The health education program for grades kindergarten through sixth grade only. And there's a specific part that reads instruction on gender identity, sexual activity, or sexuality will not be included in the health education program in kindergarten through fourth grade. Once again, they're ending it at fourth grade. I feel that it should be across the board up until they are at least 18 years of age, or unless they are emancipated. But that is why I pulled those off, and I don't agree with them, and I don't approve of them. So I just wanted to give y'all reasoning why I did that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Before the starting at 5:30, the Finance Committee met and we talked in detail about the budget. Since we now have a state budget, we're able to formally approve our budget coincides. And I want to address comments that were made earlier by one of the public. The fact that we have not advocated for higher salaries for not just our educators, but all staff couldn't be farther from the truth.
Yes.
I don't know any member of this board or staff that has not gone to every possible length, whether it's our elected officials in Raleigh or our local county officials, to advocate for higher salaries for not just teachers, but bus drivers, assistant teachers, food service, the whole gambit, everyone. We're all suffering the effects of inflation. Our salary raises are not keeping up, and we are losing our more experienced and highly qualified teachers because they are able to go out in the private sector and earn a more income, frankly. And it is a terrible shame. North Carolina is too far towards the bottom in funding of our educators. And it is going to have disastrous long-term effects as far as our college students, the younger that want to become educators, are going to be dissuaded because they know that there are other job opportunities that will earn considerably more. Just to explain, as we discussed in the Finance Committee meeting, we have a total public school budget in this county, including UCPS and the charter schools, of $675 million. Now, there is a federal piece to our funding, your title, and other food, free and reduced lunch. There is a state component where they pay most of the salaries of teachers, but we have local employed staff too that we have to fund locally. And we receive funding from the county for operating and capital, as well as the county has to approve and issue bonds approved by the public at referendum for new construction, such as Forest Hills and East Elementary. We do not have taxing or funding authority as a school board, as you find in other states. We get what the state gives us, we get what the county gives us, and we make do with what we get. Okay? So advocating on the state level and the county level are the people that send the money that we use to pay staff and our ongoing expenses and our capital needs. Personally, I will do everything I can to find the funds to increase salaries. I want to mention one program we have for teachers that I hope you're all aware of. If you're not, talk to your principal, and that's gaining your national board certification. Now, I understand. I've had professional designations myself. It's often an arduous process, but it will make you a better professional because of the work you have to put into it. But in North Carolina, a teacher that gains their national board certification will get a 13% pay bump for as long as they retain that certification. This board last year in our budget set up a fund of scholarships to reimburse for the cost of going through the national board certification process. If you have, as a teacher, I'm speaking to teaching staff now, if you have any questions about this process, I hope there is a national board certified teacher in your school you can go to and get advice, or your principal. How do I do this? What's entailed? And how do I apply for this scholarship? I encourage you to seek out this opportunity because this is a funding that is provided by the state. It's not impacted by our local budget. And again, it's a 13% pay raise, no matter where you are on the scale. And did I say it's a 13% pay raise? Okay. I would encourage you, if you have any interest at all, questions, to talk to your principal, supervisor, however, to gather more information. And I encourage any that have an interest to pursue this. Thank you, ma'am.
Can I go? November 29th, facilities 9 a.m., curriculum 10 a.m., and both are via Zoom. Thanks.
There is no SPTT meeting this month that is scheduled.
Yes.
There will be, I just have to
Okay.
look about the calendar. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Finance will meet again on the 28th of this month, 8 a.m. via Zoom.
Policy committee is scheduled for the 21st at 8 a.m. via Zoom. And what we're looking for SPTT is its normal rotation before facilities and curriculum, which would be the 29th at 8 a.m.
Do 7:30?
No.
Anybody else?